All right. Good. It's almost, well, it's still good morning, but it's almost afternoon. So I'll wait for a few of my late risers to come in. Good afternoon, Bertha Bree. It's nice to see you all. It's nice to see you all. How many people were in the live last night? Were any of you guys, did you guys watch the interview? We did an interview with Seth. I worked really hard on crafting the questions for that interview. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned some new information. I had some key takeaways from that. And again, I had not spoken to Seth before this. You know, I had honestly talked to Tony about, the case. I've sent him some information that I found, just stuff along the way, just to assist, anything I could. If I saw something that was interesting, like some of you guys had suggestions, for example, like what did the counselor at the school know? I didn't know anything about that. Somebody sent me an email about that, he would have a counselor at the school, and, like Seth should be privy to those notes. And so I wasn't thinking about that. And that was some information that I sent over to Tony to give to Seth because, Seth is trying to find out what happened to his son. And, but other than that, I really haven't spoken to him. I spoke to Seth on the way to the last vigil with the motorcade, and basically told him that I was sorry for everything that he was going through. If there's anything that we or my channel could do to help him in any way, please let us know. That was really the gist of the conversation, the only conversation I had with Seth. I didn't know what those answers were going to be to any of those questions. Some of them, we've heard from other interviews, but I had to ask them because they went in like a specific, I had an order and I needed those answers to move on to the next question and stuff like that. So while I do know that I did ask some questions that were redundant, that we've heard before, that we knew the answer to, I can't put the answer in his mouth. So in order for me to get the answer out of his mouth, I have to ask the question again. So that was the purpose of some of those redundant questions that we've already heard from other channels, and why I asked the same question. Also, one of the reasons why, because I never asked the question, and there's, I was asking thought-provoking questions like, now looking back, did you see anything, or did you think of anything odd, or things like that. And quite frankly, I was shocked that he told us about some conversations, inappropriate conversations that were being had inside that house, literally when law enforcement was out there looking for his son. They're talking about vacations, they're talking about buying jewelry, they're talking like, why wasn't Katie on the phone calling every person from the school, every person that has had contact with her son, calling, I've never seen people that have a missing child talking about vacations and jewelry. I've never heard that before. I hear a lot. Maybe it's happened. I just never personally have heard it or seen it. And I'm thinking, every person I know, when they have a missing child, is either being defiant to law enforcement and doing exactly what law enforcement tells them not to, like going out and looking for their kid, or if they're made to stay home, they're not staying off the phone. They're calling family, they're calling friends, they're calling anybody and everybody willing to listen to them. They're getting on the phone with news reporters. They got a war room going on. They got things. Okay, we need to do this. Start calling around here. We need to get some flyers. They're not. You're not sitting around in a home talking about a freaking vacation or jewelry. Sorry. Veda, hold on one second. What does it say? It says they seem like a load was lifted. They can finally Yeah, it just, you're kind of getting a little bit of an insight, and I'm watching this man truly break down on camera, looking at a box that he bought with food for his son. And he looks up there and literally has to stop talking to me. He has to step away. Guys, give me just a second. I need to put my do not disturb on. Literally has to stop talking to me. He has to step away. Guys, give me just a second. I need to put my do not disturb on. I'll be right back. Okay, thank you. So we see this very, very ultra emotional father, and to be honest with you, it's why one of the reasons why I geared a lot of my questions, and wanted to bring the focus back to Sebastian, is because his mom and stepfather refused to barely say his name. They are laughing. He's looking at food and thinking of his son and crying and scared. They're looking at food and drinks and laughing and making fun of their son, talking about how he likes to, defecate himself. Likes to. The boy likes to. I asked him, about if he thought their parenting style stressed Sebastian out. And he basically says, I work in a jail that has unalivers, and they don't stress me out near the way Katie and Chris stress him out. I'm like, that was pretty powerful. That was pretty stinking powerful. Because she knows she isn't coming back. Yeah. And I don't know about the garage thing. And this is why, I want to make, I try very hard to make sure that my audience has factual information. It's one of the reasons why I do the work I do, right? It's because there's a lot of misinformation. Do I make mistakes? Of course, I get bad intel just like the next person, right? Things do happen. I'm not saying that we don't make mistakes. But it's whether we make intentional mistakes, right? Intentional mistakes for clicks and views. And now, while I don't know what the intent, of obviously the person that's taking the call, I don't think it's their intent to have somebody call in and give them a bunch of BS. But, you can qualify the questions, right? You can qualify the information that's being put out there when somebody's calling in. You can qualify that person. And that's where people are lacking. They don't qualify those people when they're giving salacious information. And so this is one of the things where they're saying that there was mattresses and a pressure cleaner. And remember, I came out and everybody wanted to club Bullhorn Betty over the head and say that whatever reason, why am I not saying this? A neighbor said this. Yeah, because I like corroboration. I don't like just statements, because I know when you call into a show, because I have a call-in show. You can literally do whatever you want with your voice. You can be whoever you want to be. You can be the neighbor next door to a child disappearing. Let me tell you all about the dirt on here, right? But what was so interesting to me is that this neighbor that said this stuff about the mattress and the pressure cleaner, one, I did send somebody out there to corroborate the information, actually several different people, and I could not corroborate the information. That's the first red flag for me. The next red flag for me was the fact that media didn't pick it up. The fact that other content creators, they picked it up for like a day. And again, I think they realized it didn't hold water. There was no way to corroborate it. And if anybody's like me, they want corroborated information. They don't want to say, oh, it's rumor. How you guys don't want to come here for gossip and rumor. I mean, when we have facts and we theorize and speculate, that's one thing. But for gossip and rumor, I don't think my audience really, because I don't have the palate for it, so I can't imagine the audience that watches me has the palate for it, because I don't have the palate for it. So it's not content that they're used to or customarily getting. But I do find it odd, and when I asked Seth, it seemed like he was really reluctant, because one of the focuses is that I didn't want it to be accusatory or point, like where he's pointing his finger at his ex-wife or Chris. We all believe what we all believe at this point. I'm not going to sit here and split hairs or make somebody feel bad for their position or how they feel about this case. I feel my way, so I don't want anybody making me feel bad about my way of thinking and my position on this case. But one of the things is it's kind of hard because you're looking for information, but you're also wanting to be respectful of all parties. But at the same time, there's one party that's kind of glaring that I have questions about, and they're not willing to talk to me. So the only place I can get those questions answered, at least in part, is when I have an interview with somebody like Seth. And, Seth didn't really want to get into his personal life with Katie. He didn't want to be disparaging to Katie, even though he has, is very upset with this situation. At the end of the day, like he said, this is his son's mother. Respectful. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know if I could hold that level of control for a father or a mother of my child, right? I don't know, but I can tell you, I don't feel like me knowing who I am as a person would be that way. So he's definitely better than Betty, right? Maybe we should quit saying be a Betty and start saying be a Seth, right? But I digress. We know that he was far away from his son when his son disappeared. We know that, he has his own style of doing things. He's kind of bullheaded. He's rough around the edges. So what? He loves his kid, and that showed. And you know what? That's the only requirement for Bullhorn Betty. Do you care about your kid? Did you have anything to do with your kid? Right? If you say no to those answers, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to try to help you. I'm going to put resources behind the case if it's a case I believe in. Period. Right? We did Summer Wells without one family member. She had not one family member that was a good person. Right? Not one. And we had to do that entire investigation without one family member. Just the help of old Wells friends that cared enough about this young girl to help. And here we actually have a willing and wanting father to help in this case, one that, without a doubt in my mind, appears like he cared about his son very, very much. It also sounds like he blames himself a lot for not pushing and trying to find out why his son did not want to go. He acknowledges making mistakes, but again, who thinks it'll be their child, right? Who thinks that it'll be theirs? We think about how much stuff we blow off, from our grandchildren, our kids, like even my granddaughter, when she came in here and told a child pushed her, right? Someone pushed her down to the ground. And I'm like, well, you just gotta, you just gotta turn, you're telling them, you're trying to guide them, like, don't push back, right? And you try to guide them that way, but what if this person's hurting them when they push them down? It's just not a normal push, it's hurting them. Would I give my child that same advice? I probably not. I'd probably tell my grandchild to push back. Quite frankly, people are going to say, Betty's a horrible mom. Don't worry. I got grandkids. I spoil them, okay? I fill them up with candy and send them home with their mom with a bunch of loud crap. Like all the noisy crap you can imagine. That's what I do. If you want me as a babysitter, that I'm preparing everybody, okay? Your kid will be like bouncing off the walls, and it will come. I used to say I'll send them home with a bullhorn, but they're too darn expensive. I can go to the dollar store and get them a whole bunch of noisy crap to drive you insane for $2.99. Just saying. But one of the other things that really got to me in this case is, Seth broke his silence about some of the behind the scenes dirt. He didn't go into detail, but you could tell he wanted somebody to hear. And it sounded like Katie, while they were together, was physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive to Seth. And when they got a divorce, all he wanted, he would have agreed to anything. All he wanted was to be in his son's life, And I know we did touch on it because, I feel like there's a lot of misinformation. I feel like sometimes people can just come to social media, and because they have a big platform, they can say some salacious stuff like, oh, this person's taking advantage of this person. It's been done to me. Layla Santanella's case, there was a group of people that reached out and started plastering all over social media and started reaching out to the mother of this missing child in one of the worst times in her life, and started telling her about me and how I'm going to take advantage of her and I'm going to do all of this stuff and that stuff. It was awful. And she was and I remember Jen telling me, are these people like nuts? Like, she's looking at these people like they got 3 or 4 heads, because we're supporting her financially. We're providing her resources. I mean, hell, I even bought and overnighted her like flyers to start posting immediately for her daughter to, you know, it was on a Sunday. She was still in church. And all she had to do was leave church and go to the nearest, Office Depot or Office Max, I can't remember what it was, and literally pick up the order of flyers. And people are reaching out to this woman telling her that I'm going to rob her blind and take advantage of her. And she's like, I think she even started asking him, how is she doing this? Can you just explain that to me? She's like scratching her head. She's like, how is she taking advantage of me? She's sending me flyers. She's sending me resources. You see what I'm saying? How easy it is to manipulate people by saying something that you guys will just bite into. I feel like that's what happened with Tony. Somebody had a bone to pick with him, came out here and said he's the wrong guy. He's taking advantage of Seth. He's out for the money. There's no money. All of that was a lie to manipulate you, to make you not like that man. Do you know that they started passing around a criminal history that wasn't his? I know that for a fact because I looked into him, and I trust my work. You don't have to trust my work. I could care less whether you trust my work. I'm telling you that I did the work, and I trust my work. And the crap that was being passed around it was bullshit. And they knew it because this was coming from investigative journalists. Remember that. Investigative journalists passing around bunk information. That you need to think about. Just saying. Just saying. Bunk information, passing it around and making the whole world hate this man because he thinks they're going to rob Seth blind, and it was all smoke and mirrors. All of it. Every last bit of it. Smoke and mirrors. They sent a girl to infiltrate his life to suck information out of him and record him inside his private home while doing some, boyfriend-girlfriend stuff, acting like that she cares. And it was all smoke and mirrors to elicit information from a father that is missing his son. Don't you think that's a little sick and twisted? Just a little sick and twisted, just a little bit? Nobody's got a problem with that? You guys are going to keep supporting that nonsense? Whatever. I can't tell you who to support, right? I can only do me. And I'm just going to bring it. If it loses people, it loses people. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't like calling creators out, but I have a level of, I don't give a, what? When it gets to that level, I'm scorch earth. Like, scorch earth, because you can't do shit to me. Like, I already see them trying to do damage control with me and already starting to pass my 20-year-old past back around and all of this stuff. It doesn't matter. It's been passed around on me literally on every single case. I really don't care. If you can't handle the truth, then unsubscribe from me. It's not going to stop the work I'm doing. It's not going to hurt my feelings. This whole thing that you think you can control me if you unsubscribe, I don't care. You're either here for the cases or you're not. I am not one of those creators that are controlled by their audience or controlled by money or controlled by memberships, because I will tell anybody and everybody, if you don't bode with the work, step. I don't want your support. I don't want anything from you. I do work that I do. I don't ask my audience for permission. You either support it or you don't. Some things I do that my audience members are like, I love you, Betty, but we just gonna have to disagree here. I've got my audience members that do that. Don't believe me. Trust me. There's some. I got one calling me today. Pump the brakes, sister. Don't let this get your knickers in a wad, right? I always got those, because we pull each other. That's why I say, when you see your creator getting off base, you got to pull them back correct. And just like my audience, when I get off base, my audience is calling me, saying, hey Betty, I love you, girl, but I ain't liking this. So, and I might be, I don't give a shit. Well, Betty, yeah, you do. You do. Right? Because we all get stubborn. We all get bullheaded. But at some point, our bullheadedness has got to stop. But you know what? I hope that everybody got to see Seth's heart at least. That was really, to be honest with you, was my objective, to bring it back to Seth and Sebastian. And I hope that people did see a father that loves his son and that misses his son dearly, while that child's mother and stepfather do not. I wanted you guys to see the reality of what a parent grieving, and he held his stuff together. I did not want to push him in any way. But I knew some of the questions were going to be difficult, because I can't imagine being in his shoes. Every case that I deal with, I try to imagine myself in their shoes. I'll never understand, but I do try to imagine myself in their shoes. So, I mean, hell, even, everybody's always bitching about me with Don Wells. Do you know that Don Wells actually has respect for me, whether you guys believe it or not? That man, if I'm there, he knows damn well I was looking for his daughter. He thanked me personally for looking for his daughter just last year when I was in Tennessee. He knows how hard I've been working, no matter how I feel about him or his wife. And I still get people calling in and being angry with. Look, if the dude's not angry with me, who the hell are you to be angry with me? I don't know. But that's kind of my 2 cents for the day. I've got court paperwork I'm still working on. I feel like this court paperwork, never-ending job, but we're working through it. I got to pull my head on my butt now and just, balls to the walls with court papers. Yay me! I love it. TGIF for Betty. Oh, I did want to tell you guys something. Okay. We know that I've been dealing with a lot of stress, right? With the car. Well, I finally broke down today, and I'm like, you know what? It's been $4,000. I am pissed. Even though you guys don't know it, I'm pissed. And so I took it up to Cox Chevrolet. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the it. Because I'm sitting here thinking, man, $4,000 just to light a match to $4,000 and literally walk away is a little. It gets past that. It gets into your stomach, like, right? It's like an epic or atomic heartburn. I don't know how to explain it. Other than that, it's a heartburn you don't want to experience, right? And so I'm like, you know what? Let me just to see if it's stupid, And this is my plan. I was going to go up there. If it's something that I just don't want to fix, it's time to look at them and say, how much are you going to give me for this rusty bucket? All right. It got 4,000. Kick the tires. Still got the tires on it. What you gonna give me for this, right? What you gonna give me for this? So, I got up there. I'm like, okay, it's the real diagnostic from the specialist, is going to be about $227. So I signed the $227. I want to know what's wrong. At this point, I want to know what the hell's wrong with my freaking car. Okay. So I sign it. They said, he looked right at me and said, I'm just going to let you know we're keeping it over the weekend. And I said, well, I've been out of it for 3 months. If you need to keep it a damn week, keep it. Just whatever you do, whenever I get it back, I want driving. So we'll see. We'll know by Monday. You guys know I have been going through it, and I've had everybody under the sun, reaching out to me. But they did do some preliminary work on it. You guys, I was so stressed when I got there this morning. Like, I don't even remember getting out of the car. Okay? I don't recall ever having an experience like that. Like, I am literally sitting in his office and he's reading some stuff to me. I'm like, did you scan my car? And it's like, oh crap. You made me I'm sitting in his office. I'm telling you, I felt like a basket case when I got there. An absolute freaking basket case. So he did the preliminary stuff. It is revving a little too high, and we might have the culprit, which really pisses me off. But it's the one thing I haven't heard anybody say. Solenoid. 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 Now, it may not be. That was just the preliminary thing that they did. You know, they're taking it in and putting it on like a $100,000 machine, and they're going to tell me everything that's wrong with it. I'm just praying to God it's not another freaking $1,000. And then while I was sitting there talking to them, we were talking about all the new cars. I see everybody talking about this. The new cars are like 100% ran by computers. So I hate to see everybody's bill when those computers start. I mean, you ain't going nowhere. And I guarantee you're probably, the computers in the cars today are probably thousands of dollars. Okay? The computer in my 2011 was $228. Once I paid for the extra stuff to be pre-programmed and stuff like that, it was right up about $107 or $270 for the computer. I guarantee the computers on the cars now are thousands. It terrifies me. Like when I go car shopping, it's like I want an old car now. The new cars are too technical for me. Like I'm a budget person, and I don't know what costs are going to be associated with it. Shit, you can't even change your own headlights now. Has anybody noticed that? It's easier to change your freaking brakes than it is your headlight. You gotta pay $1,200 to have a headlight replaced now. You gotta take the whole front end of your car off. What idiot engineer decided to do that? Sorry, not sorry. Did I just say it what everybody else was thinking? Look at this stuff. And okay, now here's the final one, okay? We're going to get back to Sebastian, okay? You're going to let me tangent out here, okay? You're going to deal with it. You're going to deal with it with a smile on your face. The passenger seatbelt. In the state of Florida, the passenger, if you're over the age of 18, is not required to wear a seatbelt. At least that's what it was when I went to school, unless they changed the law in the last 20 years, which is possible. But when the person sitting next to me, or if that person in that seat's me, and I choose not to wear my seatbelt, it's annoying hearing that ding, 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 ding. It's like you freak out. It's like you have to put that seatbelt on, or you go and it's like, I'm telling you, when I buy a new car, that is the one thing I don't care. That show me where the fuse is. Show me where the fuse is. Guys, you don't understand. I travel this country. Do you guys realize that half the time I'm traveling, it thinks I'm driving with somebody next to me? I just want to put that out there. Yes, I've got to seat buckle my bag. Now, can you imagine me going down the road with it ding, 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 over a freaking bag? I'm just saying, if the bag hits the windshield, nobody's dying. Sorry. Okay, I'm done. Now, getting back, we're covering the case of Sebastian Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy. He disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and he has not been seen since. And we actually had an interview with his father. I can't dovetail too well, can I? But in all fairness, we did have a great interview with his father. If you guys did not get a chance to watch that interview, I really do wish you guys would. It is one of those interviews that, honestly, I've got to go back and watch myself, because believe it or not, when you're giving an interview, you are literally retaining 5 seconds of that interview at a time. Because when you're asking that question, you're staying on your list, but they're also speaking to you. So you have to understand what's coming out of their mouth and respond to that. So those responses to the stuff coming out of their mouth is all just natural because I only have a list of questions. I still have to have a conversation. So when you're having a conversation, you're dealing with like 5 seconds at a time because you're trying to deal with the stress of the interview, trying to keep on track, trying to give them the ability to speak, but making sure they don't go off the rails. Like we if you notice, we really tried really hard, keep it away from me. I had to ask them questions about Katie and Chris from his purview that day, but I didn't want him to assume or put himself in a worse position. I just truly was curious about some answers. He did shut me down on Katie, though. I would have liked to have asked more questions about, but I understand and respect the situation, and I don't want, my biggest fear is making the situation worse. I don't want to do that. The situation is bad enough, especially with some bad actors on YouTube. And I'm sure there's bad actors here on TikTok, but I don't pay attention to that aspect here on TikTok. On TikTok, I literally come here, I work, and that's it. I don't really I don't really look at other people's work on here for some reason. I don't know why. I know that the creators on here do really, really great work and stuff, but I really only come here when I'm searching for a specific topic. So I really don't get sucked into all the drama here on TikTok like I do in Facebook. Facebook, because I do a lot more live shows. They call into, like today I had some freaking Hot Mess Express call in talking about Sebastian and turning around to say that because I protested 3 times in 4 years, I'm the problem with the true crime sector. The people over on YouTube, guys, you should be thankful you guys got some common sense people. I know you guys got your crazy nuts over here too, but I gotta say, you guys keep it a lot more peaceful over here than they do on YouTube. Like, it's like a freaking wrestling match. You gotta have some thick skin and some earplugs. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. But I definitely would keep it to the good content creators over here because, like Beach, I got to watch some of her. I don't do, where everybody comes up on panel. I don't do I just feel like in cases like that on TikTok, it causes too much drama for me personally. And I'll let the people that have the patience for it, do those types of things. Me personally, with my personality, having, all those people up there, like I don't know how Beach dealt with it. It's no disrespect to the people up there, speak. That's her platform. That's what they do. They go up there to let their voice be heard and stuff like that. It's just a different dynamic than something that I personally could handle for myself. Okay. If that makes sense. It takes a very calm, like I think Olivia would be good, doing that as well. But Beach is sweet. She can kind of just chill and just, making sure everybody's kind of even keel. I saw her doing that. Like when somebody was getting a little too exciting, she just had a way of bringing, like, I liked her style. And so, like, I'm not like that. Like, somebody comes and gets me, like, pulls my pigtails. I'm just saying. I don't have that it factor. Okay, people, like I say, you got to use the gifts, right? Some people have strengths that other people don't have. Some people have weaknesses. Okay, Beach has the strength of patience. Okay, Bullhorn Betty. If you guys don't understand Bullhorn, I know you guys think it's a megaphone type thing too, but Bullhorn, Bullhead, just saying, not my cup of tea. But I think everybody, for the most part, did really well. I was really impressed. I mean, with that many people in the chat, you're going to have jerks. I was really disappointed that a creator that I had previously worked with was so disrespectful to me personally in my chat when I have never been that disrespectful to them. That kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. But, that's an integrity issue. And so it brought something to light for me, right? So now that I know that's going to help me for the foreseeable future. And, and that person now knows who I'm speaking of. So when they come or need help or need something, which, everybody needs something on these streets, that door will be closed. See, that's how it works. I travel all over this country, okay? Not to tout myself or anything like that, but I just want to put it in perspective. I am involved in these cases. So there are going to be times in the future that somebody is going to need information that I have being boots on the ground. So you need to take things like that into consideration when you're choosing to how you treat somebody, because I am out there and there will be a time. And when you already rubbed me wrong, do you think I'm going to give you my time when you need my time if you treated me crappy back here? You need to be thinking about that. I work very hard, and I hope that we can bring this back to Sebastian. I'm confident. I'm absolutely confident with all the love that I saw last night that we most definitely can bring this ship back to Sebastian and back to his dad. It needs to be both, because dad's fighting for son, and we need to support dad so he has the ability to fight for son. That's how it works. We don't get to pick the parents, right? We don't get to pick their mistakes or their perfection. We don't get to pick that for them. What we get to pick for them is, are they innocent or are they guilty? Did they contribute? Like, for example, I don't believe this man contributed to what happened to his son. There's a difference. Billy Joe Howe, she contributed to the death of her grandson. Okay? Why? Because she went to court to get her grandchildren, told the court her daughter was utilizing substances and abusing those children. That is exactly why she got custody of those kids. And then she turned around and gave those kids back to her daughter while she went to work, and her daughter unalived her grandson. That is contributing directly to the unaliving of that. I would never work with Billy Joe because of that. That is not what we're dealing with here. You know what we're dealing with here? People trying to say, oh, well, when he should have pushed harder, when his son said that he didn't want to go back. Okay. I'm pretty sure 3 months in, he owns that he overlooked a lot. Can you imagine right now, if for the parents here, I'm not talking about the grandparents, I'm talking about the true and now parents, you have children living in your home. Your child goes missing today and you can't find him for 3 months. Do you think that there's things that you're not going to regret, that you shouldn't have looked into, that you overlooked, that you dismissed prematurely? So easy sitting on a pedestal in judgment. He didn't do anything to his son. He did not contribute to his son. I doubt he ever even had the knowledge. He may have thought there was some discourse in a house with a teenage boy and a stepfather. Seems pretty normal and customary in America. I'm sure he probably just thought it was something benign like that. I'm very doubtful he thought this was going on and did nothing. He doesn't look like the type of guy that sits on his ass and does nothing for his son. I'm sorry, he just doesn't. And somebody said CPS failed to notify him. Yes, they did. And he had to get an attorney to find out what happened to his son. And we still have people saying that he's a piece of crap that contributed to his son's death because he didn't protect his son. How do you protect somebody when you don't know something's wrong? How do you protect somebody when you don't even know something's wrong? I doubt, you got to think of how manipulative Chris was. Chris was keeping in contact with him, right? Being the good guy the whole time while he's abusing his kid. Calling him on the phone, making him seem like, oh yeah, we're going to be happy to drop him off. Being the buffer between him and his ex-wife. In his face, smiling in his face, making him think he's a great stepdad. That's how manipulative Chris was. Does it surprise you? The smoke and mirrors in front of Seth? I doubt else when he was having problems with Sebastian? I'm sure Chris was already telling him and already in his ear manipulating him. Yeah, Sebastian got in trouble this week, right? He's been a problem this week. Remember, he started saying Chris wanted him to start punishing his son while he's staying at his dad's house. That's the kind of man Chris was. He was manipulating Seth. Seth had no idea that his son was being treated so poorly. Do you guys honestly think that Seth wouldn't have corrected that in a quickness of everything? I mean, hell, we've got every hate channel out here saying how explosive Seth's attitude is. Explosive, right? So horrible. So horrible. But he wouldn't have exploded on Chris. No, what they were doing is they were egging him on from the background. And they were wanting to get him riled up and aim him at Chris. That's what that other team wanted to do. They wanted Seth to fight Chris. He didn't want to do that. He wants his son. He wants his son. If he wanted to fight Chris, I don't think anything is going to stop that man from knocking the shit out of Chris. Just saying. If he wanted to. And he would have every right to. But he's not. Why? Because he puts his son above himself. Because he wants to knock the man's lights out. But he knows that's not going to help find his son. So you know what he does? He just takes it. He just takes it. Just like he's had to take all this nonsense from this unprofessional group of slime bags, snakes, sending a girl into his home to spy on him. It's disgusting. Disgusting. It's sick. I don't want no part of that. None of it. Where's Betty going? Somewhere else. And I'm taking my channels with me, right? We're definitely not part of that shit there. I want to be true crime. I want to get the bad guys. I don't care about trashing an innocent man. If he had nothing to do with it, I don't care what his past looks like. He's a dad. You know what? Anybody that wants to complain about this man, I want your information. Let me see how squeaky clean you are. Let Betty do it, right? Because, I mean, the hate channels that want to say that I don't do my job, don't know what I'm doing, well, then fine. Since I do such a lousy job, give me your information. Let's see what I find about you. Since I'm so lousy at my job. How does someone defend someone when they don't actually... That's it. He thought, I'm sure he knew that there had to have been some type of discord. You got a teenage kid, you got a blended family, the whole, you're not my dad, you can't tell me what to do shit. Come on. I'm sure that man, come on. Let's be realistic here. Do you honestly think if he thought his son was being treated this poorly, he's going to send him back home? Does that man even remotely seem like the type of man to do that? I mean, seriously. If you guys really can't read a person, if it's not that cut and dry for you, I mean, maybe it's for some people, it's not. I shouldn't be disrespectful. For me, it seems glaring. It seems glaring that he loved his kid, and there's no way, if he knew this was going on, that he wouldn't have put a stop to it. And you can see he beats himself up because he didn't know, and he didn't put a stop to it. Trust me, this man wishes he would have known. He wishes he would have, he wants his son. Guys, he had to walk off out of camera 3 or 4 different times in a 2-hour period. With a face full of tears, by the way. I've seen Katie and Chris stay on interviews for an hour, laughing and joking, never once breaking down. Talking about how Sebastian likes to defecate himself and likes to use the restroom on himself. How he likes to do all that. How if he would just listen, he would be so much better. I think Lisa B. always hit the nail on the head. They thought they were going to discipline him into normalcy. And it was stressing him out. And it was causing him to have these accidents. He was terrified at all times. Nothing he could do was right. Every time he turned around, he was wrong. His parents probably didn't even want him in the living room. When they got home, she'd probably go, why don't you go in your room and play with your toys? What you bet? What you bet she was one of them? Go on ahead in your room and play with your toys. Isn't there a game you want to play? Seth thought that his day was pretty full. And I didn't realize that when they have, I guess I didn't understand the over taxing or over, what was the word I used? I don't know, overexerting day, whatever. He said that was a lot for him. But see, one thing I didn't realize, or what that meant, is apparently when they have an overexerting day, it amps them up. Overstimulating. Thank you, Sassy. Overstimulating. And he thought it was a pretty active day, he said. I think he used that word. Like, he didn't say overstimulating. He goes, it seemed like it was a lot of activity for the day, I think is what he said. And that's when I learned that what it does is it amps them up where they can't go to sleep. So they can't go to sleep. So I think that's what, remember that one statement that we learned about where Seth thought that Katie may have over medicated or whatever, Sebastian? I think it's a little different because I truly believe that if that were the case, she would have called 911 because it was an accident. There was nothing intentional or nefarious there. It was an accident. So I feel like there is just something more here because he disappeared. He told us that law enforcement told him that there is no evidence that child left the house. So, anyways, guys, if you haven't gone over there to check out the interview, it has this. I have one that says rewind down here, and that's just me conversating about some stuff that went on. You're more than welcome to check that out. It gets a little saucy at the end, and it's just because I'm over the BS when it comes to some of these creators. I don't attack creators. I don't make it I want creators to come together and to unify, and if you can't, just agree to disagree and separate. I don't like attacking creators, but I also will not stand idly by why creators attack an innocent man or an innocent family. That's something that I will not do. And if that's going to bring on drama to me or my channel, to put a stop to it, then that's the drama that I'm willing to take on. I don't want my audience getting involved in it. I don't want anything, but I don't want you guys also being part of a problem I'm trying to solve, right? So if I do dig in, let me dig in, and you guys take the high road and in the middle of the road, and let me just do my thing, because this is a family that I'm very passionate about. And if you know anything about me, I'm bullheaded. Okay? And there's nothing that's going to stop me from fighting for a family when I see an injustice, and I'm seeing an injustice here that I hope calms down. But I think that that's not going to be the case, because one of the driving forces is my ex that likes to injure me as much as he possibly can. Mentally, emotionally, verbally, just mind F me. And because I'm a part of this, and because I'm fighting so hard for this family, I think he's going to pull out all the stops to try to hurt me. And professionally, not physically, but I don't know. I've never pissed him off this much before. So we'll see what comes, but I've already started hearing that some of the stuff is going around. Oh, that lady right there, Mayflower, that lady, she's psycho. Like, I don't think that lady realizes how mentally messed up she is. Like, nobody pays that much attention to a private person they've never met before. Like, that is really creepy behavior. It's very, to be honest with you, it's unsettling behavior. That I have never, I don't say stuff about her. I don't. And I never have. Everybody's like, she should have attacked you. And I'm thinking, I should have attacked them. I didn't attack them. They attacked me. And I defended myself. And all of a sudden, I'm the one that started the fight. I don't know these people. Just like I don't know the people that are out here attacking me now, but I bet you if I say something about them, like, oh, Bullhorn Betty's so mean, then why were you talking shit? Just saying. Because when I hear you talk shit about me and then you come to my face and say you're not talking shit about me, I tell you what, that's not the kind of Betty you want. You don't lie to me. You never lie to me. I can tell the truth. I can take the truth better than I can take a lie. I might get upset. I might get angry, but don't ever, ever lie to me. That is your biggest mistake. Biggest. That's just, it's a pet peeve for me. It's a pet peeve for me. It's an adult thing for me too. I mean, if you make a mistake, that's one thing, but to intentionally, and I'm not talking about, I can't come pick you up today, I'm sick. I'm not talking about that crap. I'm talking about, you lied to me. Don't do that. Biggest mistake you can make. Their feelings somehow are overruled. Yeah, I know. Betty's can be mean. Mom was a Betty. Yeah. Yep. It is. But, it's not something that makes me feel good. That's the difference. Some people thrive off that. Some people thrive off of being nasty and destructive and stuff like that, I don't know if I have been nasty and destructive before. I can tell you I was not a happy person at all. Am I 100% happy in this life? No, I'm not. But I'm happier. A lot happier. Right? So you got to look at it that way too. Am I perfect? Of course not. Am I happier than when I was in the funk? Yeah, I feel much better, I go to church too. And because I do some stuff and I cuss, you got to get some of that stuff out of you. Oh, Peach, I was talking behind your back. I do that. I do that every now and again. I talk behind your back. Don't worry. I know it's all true. I know it's all true. At least they were saying so. You guys. I was just telling him that I think you're sweet. I was telling him about your platform too. I'm like, so the reason why I don't have all those people up here is I don't have the patience for it. I said I was talking about how you're so patient with your people, and when they're getting kind of off track, you're just really good. You have what it takes. You have what it takes. I'm not a paneler. I can't do the panels. Because it just takes one person saying one thing to me and it'll set me off, and I got a pop mouth. I always apologize for it afterwards, but I do have a pop mouth. That means like if it's coming right here, it comes right out here. Truth be known, Betty, fair enough. Yeah. IVT line was out of line. Yeah. It's just, I think, if there's one thing about reviewing people, but review and move on, right? But to spend, years on one person, like, and then not only that, but now that everything is kind of letting loose, like everything you talked about for 3 years, you're being shown that you're a liar. Liar. You told us that Betty did this and Betty did that, right? She told everybody that me and JLR were just friends because that's what we told, right? They do such investigative work. They knew my whole entire life. Well, you didn't know that, did you? You lied to your audience about that for years. Right? Because you didn't know. Why? Because I didn't put it out there. Why? Because I have a private life. Why? Because I'm a private person. Imagine that. But, it's all coming full circle, which is what it was planned to do to begin with. And now that we can remove the stuff, now we know who the crazy people are and who aren't. So there is that. All right, guys. Well, I love you. God bless. If you haven't watched the interview, go over and check it out. I thought it was pretty good. It sounds like it got a lot of good reviews. People were calling. They said it was, I really did take a lot of time with it. And I really wanted Seth to have his voice. And I think that those two things were accomplished. So there you have it. Yeah, I think it was. He just had to get roto-rooted. I'm sorry. That's pretty bad. You're so full of shit. Sorry, I need to stop. I'm going to get myself in all kinds of trouble. Like I said, pop mouth. I gotta keep my own self in check sometimes, right? I gotta keep my own self in check and sometimes. And yes, Tony was great, and that was another thing I wanted to do, is because I'm so sick of this misinformation. Like, some people, you literally can tell them anything and they will believe it. I mean, and they will just go to the mattress over it, and it's like everybody's talking about, oh, he's out there, take it. Come on, I've got common sense. How? And I always ask people, and I do this because I like to set it home. When people come to me that, how is he taking advantage? Well, I don't know. I just don't trust him. Well, that's not good enough for me. If you're going to say he's taking advantage of someone, I expect you to explain how he's taking advantage of someone. Not revert to an emotional response. I do not do emotional unless it's my emotional. And then I do it well. Not good enough for me either. Yeah. If you're going to say somebody's taking advantage, what are they taking advantage of? Oh, they're keeping Seth from animals and hyenas. Well, that sounds like he's doing a good job then. Just saying. Anything that they got, I can flip. I will flip it around. Because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's what I believe. There's 2 ways to skin a cat. All right? There's multiple ways. I think that's a little offensive at this day and age, right? We need to stop skinning cats. I'm sorry. Once upon a time, back in the older days, it was acceptable, but now it's cat abuse. So I don't know what we're going to skin now. I don't know. We're getting so peaceful. I need to stop. I need to stop. There, cut the snake out. There we go. We'll use snake. Pretty soon we're going to be offensive to snakes too, okay? I'm already offensive to a few snakes on YouTube, so they don't like me as is. But you know what? Hey, maybe I am the snake repellent. Maybe that's what I am. Maybe I need to be a bullhorn mamba. I need to stop. Skin the bear. I like bears. I like cats too. I think we're going to be offensive to an animal. No matter how we look at it, we're going to be offensive to an animal. Our animal lovers are going to be sending PETA our way. Knock, knock. All right, guys. Well, I love you. Thank you for rocking it out with me for a little bit and shooting the shit. I got to tell you, this live calmed me down. I just got back from the second mechanics shop, and the second mechanic shop's always more expensive than the first. A day in the life of a Betty. God bless. TGIF, go rock it out.